would like to go ahead and begin the program. This time I'd like to welcome each of you to our 1985 Distinguished Alumnus Luncheon. I'm happy to see the turnout that we have. I think it demonstrates the significance that people place upon this award. But before we begin the program, I would like to call on Dr. Bill Nolan to lead us in an invocation.
May we pray? Dear God, we pause to give thanks today. Hope that you will bless this assembled leadership of Lamar University, including all of the alumni, campus representatives, and many friends of the university. Help them in their personal and professional lives. Help them to set an example for the future students of this fine university. Especially bless these distinguished alumni that we're honoring today. Their example of citizenship and leadership and their lives in the profession is an inspiration to all of us. Bless this food which is prepared for our consumption. And all this we ask in your name. Amen.
I'd like to make some introductions before we begin the program. I am going to revise the order of the program a bit to accommodate some of the honored guests who have some, I believe, an airplane to catch. This time, I would like the members of the Lamar Alumni Association Advisory Board and Board of Directors to please stand and be recognized. Board of Directors Advisory Board. Each of these alumni represents outstanding leadership in his geographical area and on this board. Their names and dates of graduation in the cities they represent are printed on the back of the program. Your 1985-86 officers Alumni Association, introduce you each of these officers. I would like to stand and to be recognized. Secretary David, Second Vice President Dr. Bill Nyland, First Vice President Dr. Doug Matthews. That's the problem with coming on Lamar's campus. When I went to school, you didn't have to worry about conflict, so we didn't have that many. Now everybody's a doctor. And President Don Warren, I'll serve as your 1985-86 president. We have some other distinguished guests I'd like to introduce. One is C.W. He's our 1982 alumnus. And C.W. Also, Ms. Gilbert Adams, who is the wife of our beloved distinguished alumnus Gilbert T. Adams. Mr. Adams, as you recall, was the recipient, was the recipient of the 1980 Distinguished Vi. Of course, the next guest is someone who needs no introduction. Many of us know her when we were students at Lamar. She was instrumental in making sure that we got closer to the right record because graduated. It's Celeste Kitchen. Yes. Celeste has the distinction of being one of the recipients of the very first Distinguished Alumnus Award. I'm pleased to say I was at that presentation. She shared that day with Dr. John. Celeste that an Association, and she still volunteers in the alumni office to stick labels and stuff envelopes. So thank you, Celeste. Also, I would like to, at this point in time, and I do consider it a real honor and privilege to be able to recognize the first Chancellor of the Lamar University system, Dr. Robert Kimball and his wife, Helen. I received on behalf of Gilbert a telegram from Congressman Jack Brooks, and I would like to read it at this point in time. Deeply regret that it is not possible for me to attend the Lamar University Alumni Association Awards Luncheon. The Alumni Association has created an outstanding program, and pleased that H. Orion and William P. Weber are being recognized as 85 distinguished alumni. Please extend to them my warmest congratulations. Please express my best wishes to everyone attending your luncheon, and with every good wish, I remain Jack Brooks, Member of Congress, 9th District. And it's at this point in time I improvise in the program. We have several awards to recognize, and I would like to, like the Alumni Service Award and the Golden Cardinal, I would like to recognize a little later. But at this point in time, I would like to recognize the Cardinal Citation Award. The Cardinal Citation Award is presented to non-alumni who have made exceptional contributions of time, talent, and services or financial support to the Alumni Association of Lamar University. The award this year goes to Betty and Sheldon Greenberg. They sent their deepest regrets that they could not be with us here today. However, CW will accept the award for Betty. They had it all organized. For 3 years, Betty and Sheldon have hosted and chaired the annual Association Frontier Frolic, the annual fundraising country and western and dance for the benefit of the Association's Presidential Scholarship Program. This event started in 1983 when Sheldon donated a replica of a vintage car to the association. Shortly after the gift was made, their son Jeff was killed in an automobile accident. We asked Betty and Sheldon if they would use the Frontier for the $10,000 Jeff Greenberg Presidential Scholarship. The event was a success that Betty and Sheldon have agreed to sponsor the event each year. Last Christmas Eve, another Greenberg son was killed in a plane crash, and their scholarship was given to Jeff Greenberg, President. The scholarship has been awarded to 4 exceptionally talented students in the fine arts and communication, and to 1 outstanding pre-med major. These 5 students have added greatly to the enrichment of the student body. The Frontier Frolic has added in excess of $45,000 to the Presidential Scholarship Fund. In addition to their generosity to the Alumni Association, the Greenbergs are generous contributors to Lamar University, both in the area of academics and in the fine arts. On behalf of the entire Lamar University family, I want to thank Betty and Sheldon for all they have done and are doing for this institution and their community.
On behalf of Betty and Sheldon, I want to thank you most graciously for the high honor that you bestowed on them and continued success.
Thank you, C.W. And now I'd like to move to the Distinguished Alumnus Awards. And an effort to accommodate a schedule. And I have to go by my prepared speech. It's time now to present the most outstanding award given to an alumnus of any university, the Distinguished Alumnus Award. To be considered for this award, an individual must be distinguished in his or her chosen profession or life work. The individual must be a person of such integrity, stature, demonstrated ability, and renown that the faculty, staff, students, and alumni of Lamar University will take pride in and be inspired by his or her recognition. And they must be an individual who indeed and in action recognizes the importance of his or her education at Lamar University, who demonstrates pride in this institution and whose interest and loyalty are evident. At this time, I'd like to introduce James Bolton, who's an alumnus, a close friend of the University and Alumni Association, to introduce the first recipient.
Thank you. I am not a public speaker, even though I do earn my livelihood through communication. I'm more of a talker. I feel somewhat honored myself to be allowed to make this presentation, and I would like to introduce the immediate family of the recipient, Tom Odian. Tom's brother, Don, and his wife, Martha, if you would stand. Tom's brother-in-law, Jim Swansea III, who is not present. Tom's father-in-law, Jim Swansea. Tom's mother, Dorothy Odian. Tom's three lovely daughters and our step-granddaughters, Kristen, Kim, and Catherine. And last but not certainly least, our lovely Diane, Tom's wife. I'll try to condense this as much as possible. It's kind of difficult to condense 31 years into just a few moments, but I will. And it may be kind of hopscotch, but I will address the educational first, since we are in an academic environment. I first met Tom in 1954 when I was a 21-year-old coach at David Crockett Junior High School, and he was a 13-year-old spindly-legged kid. I had Tom 54, 55, and 56. From there, he went to Beaumont High School, and en route to Lamar, he went to Alumni Academy on a baseball scholarship, to Southeastern Louisiana on a baseball scholarship, back to Lamar, where he was recruited to play football by Ty Terrell, contracted encephalitis the summer before and was unable to participate in football. Otherwise, he would also be a graduate athlete at Lamar. Following Lamar, some other highlights. He was published in Texas Outlook in 1967, which is quite an honor. On going to the home office, which is now in Springhouse, Pennsylvania, but at the time was in Fort Washington, Pennsylvania. He attended Dartmouth University, Harvard University, and Columbia University. So he does have quite an educational background, and I might add, is considered one of the marketing experts with Johnson & Johnson. On the personal side and the employment side, after graduation from Lamar, Tom himself became coach at David Crockett Junior High, from which he went to Beaumont High School. After leaving Beaumont High School to Bishop, Texas. Here our paths crossed again in 1968. I was a district manager in Houston. And Tom came home for Christmas holidays, and so did I. And the young man that I had hired to replace me in Beaumont and I were going to play golf. And he said, do you mind if I invite Tom? And I said, well, certainly. So Tom met us at Terrell Park. I was losing my man in Corpus Christi, Texas, so I talked with Tom about taking that job. And in all fairness to all involved, I did not hire Tom. I did interview him, give him his application. He was hired after I left Houston and came back to Beaumont. From there, it was a rather meteoric rise. He came back to Houston in 1971 as a hospital representative. And I will tell a couple little cute offside or interesting offside stories. While Tom was a hospital in Houston, we had a meeting in Dallas at the Fairmont Hotel. And Tom and I and some other people, as you always do at meetings, were shooting the bull, and it got midnight or so. So we walked down the street to get a cup of coffee because the hotel restroom was closed. We came back to my room, which at the Fairmont, the rooms overlooked the skyline of Dallas with a glass wall. And there were three of us, and it was the regular business hotel environment, you know, the round table with the two chairs, and there were three of us. So I sat on the bed, and we were talking. It was 12:30, 1 o'clock. It was Tom and Johnny Thomas and myself, and I fell asleep. At 6:30 the next morning, I woke up, and Tom and Johnny were still sitting there talking about how they were going to run the company when they got to be president. And sure enough, but from Houston, he was promoted district manager in Tulsa, and all of this occurred very rapidly. I could give you the dates, but they read about every 9 months to 18 months. And then from Tulsa, he came back to Dallas as a regional manager, then into the home office as a product director. This is where I think probably he first showed the real signs to the powers that be that he had special talents. While he was the product director in the home office, the product became the first prescription drug in the history of McNeil Pharmaceutical, and one of the few in the pharmaceutical industry to generate 1 million prescriptions a month. This is a level at which you really make money. Those people were impressed. It subsequently has generated 2 million prescriptions a month, which to my knowledge is the only drug that has ever generated 2 million prescriptions a month. These are new prescriptions. From that, Tommy, I'm going to have to refer to my notes because it happened so fast after that, I'm not sure where it went. From the product director, he was promoted to executive director of sales in the home office, at which time he launched, or under his leadership, we launched the most successful product in the history of McNeil Pharmaceutical. We had never launched a product which had done what this product did immediately, just from day one. And I will not tell you the demise of that. From that point, he became vice president of sales, and then vice president of marketing, which was, they combined the sales and marketing departments into one department, and Tommy became the vice president of both. And then in this year, April of this year, Tom was promoted to president of McNeil Pharmaceutical. For those of you who are not familiar with McNeil, we are an international pharmaceutical manufacturing and distributing company. At that time, he also was made vice president of Johnson & Johnson International and a member of the very prestigious executive section. Tom, you may have to help me. Sector Operating Committee for Johnson & Johnson International Pharmaceuticals, and also the Asia and Pacific area for all Johnson & Johnson products. And Tom, we're proud of you. I do have one thing other I would like to say. Those McNeil people who are here, and there are quite a few here, and most of them know our founder, Robert Lincoln McNeil. When I went to work at McNeil, he met every employee ever hired at the front door. Welcomed you aboard, this, that, and the other. I was also in the home office in 1967 when he passed away. Tommy, if Robert Lincoln were still here, he'd shake your hand and say, "Son, I'm glad you're with us." So congratulations.
Well, I had never looked at it that way. I guess you could tell by my background that, at least for a while, I don't know about the education so much, Jim, as if they just kept sending me to different schools to see if something would take. We talk about the universities, the one I'm most proud of, and obviously the one that I support the most is the one that I graduated from here at Lamar. And I'd like to just take a few minutes and thank Wanda for the hospitality that has been afforded to my family and myself, Dr. Kimball, Dr. Franklin, for the excellent reception that we received, the tour yesterday of what continues to be really a fascinating university. One that is growing, while a lot of universities are starting to just to kind of step back and take their pack off for a while. The Montag Center is second to none. I don't think I've seen a better athletic facility than that in association with the football field. The CAD/CAM laboratory we were very interested in yesterday. As we do a lot of molecular modeling in our own business, it was interesting to me to see the engineering design work that has been developed in that laboratory. In fact, I understand that most of the major universities, including the University of Texas and Texas A&M, come here to Lamar to take advantage of that piece of technology. It's certainly one that I appreciate, and it's a state of the art. So we thank you for what's been a wonderful reception. Obviously, have to thank a few people before I sit down, and least of which is my family. Certainly wouldn't been able to do anything without their support, and I appreciate that. My wife and lovely daughters, the queens of 12 Pine Mill Circle, and very proud of them. I think when you get an award like this, that you wonder what you're going to say and how you're going to feel. I guess there's a thrill that's only can be equaled when I graduated from Lamar, to be honored with such a distinguished list of people who have received this award prior to myself. And a lot of people that I know didn't know if I was going to make that one or not 20 years ago. But as I met our dear Celeste Kitchen earlier, I'll never forget what she said. She says, "I know more about you than anybody in this room." She had the greatest. But it's not the award. It's not really the recognition. The real reward is being able to visit with the family and friends who have taken time out of their busy schedules to be with us today. That's the reward, and it's just fortunate that we're able to celebrate it in such a fine institution and in such a fine environment, one that we're most proud of here at Lamar. I'd like to say a little bit about everybody, but I really can't. I know that there are a couple of people here on your staff, Dr. Franklin, that I don't know if you know their whole background or not, but I was fortunate enough to go to college with both of them, or high school with one and college with the other one.
You have the director, your distinguished director of music, I guess, Dr. Jimmy Simmons is with us. I hope he's still with us here today. There he is. Jimmy and I go back a long way. And I figured it out last night, Jimmy. Just to make a long story short, Jimmy and I started our education careers at David Crockett Junior High, as Jim mentioned earlier. He was the man director and I was the coach. And during our off period, which happened to be at the same time of day, we would shoot basketballs in the gym, free throws, for $1 a free throw. Now, neither one of us, as A.J. Butler reminded me earlier, says, I didn't have enough money to buy a meal. I didn't need to go until I went on a scouting trip. Jimmy and I used to shoot free throws for $1 a free throw, and we kept count of it. And I figured out on a compounded basis for the last 20 years, it's about $230,000 you owe me. He says that's not true. He says, but I guarantee you I've never met the band director beat the coach at free throws. And your athletic director, Dr. Sonny Jolly, and I went to Lamar at the same time. And at that time, Sonny was working for the Beaumont Police Department. And he and I had a couple of classes together, and he had his protection, his revolver, in his briefcase because he really had to do that at that time. So when I found that he was was the athletic director here at Lamar, I felt very confident that there will be no violations of recruiting or anything like that. Dr. Kimball, this got an enforcer as far as their athletic director is concerned. I again am very proud to be from Lamar, and I'm very, very honored to have received the Distinguished Alumnus Award. And I want to thank everybody here for the time to share this with our family, myself and our family. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom, and again, congratulations. This time, there's someone I would like to introduce to make to recognize the second recipient of the Distinguished Alumnus Award in 1985. He really needs no introduction to members of the Alumni Association, because every time you turn around, alumni function, there he is. And he has a lot of good ideas, and I'd like Bud Leonard to come up and make the second.
Thank you, President Dodd, Chancellor Kimball, Helen, President Franklin, and Sonia, honorees, special guests, alumni, honored guests all. What a great thrill it is to be here today. Let me digress just a moment, because there's some things that have been said I feel like I need to speak to. Jim, I raised you better than that. That's my old college roommate, I want you to know. We called each other old lady, James Bolton and I. We shared a room for a couple of years. One of the things you didn't tell about Tom is he's been loyal and supportive of this university, and 2 years ago he was our national chairperson for our alumni fund, among his other things he's done. And Tom, we thank you for that very much, sir. I wonder how many of the McNeil people are here today supporting Tom. Would you rise just for a second? All the folks that work for the McNeil organization.
Two just left to catch an airplane.
Two just left to catch an airplane. I knew there was a number of them. Tom, it's no news. Celeste knows more about most people in this room than anybody here cares on up to. And I got news for you. Jimmy Simmons can afford to pay you that money. So you ought to collect that before you leave. He's got more things going than anybody at this university. To tell you that I feel privileged to induct William P. Pat Weber into the honored ranks of our distinguished alumni would be like my telling you that it rains in Beaumont. You know it, but you're not sure that I do. But I want you to know that we all know that it's a privilege for me. There are many in this audience who know Pat Weber far better than I. They know him as son, as a brother, colleague, fellow student, good friend, and outstanding businessman. Yet here I stand to try to do my best by Pat Weber. And to quote Martin Luther, here I stand, I can do no otherwise. God help me. Amen. And I'll take that. You know, when something good happens to us, it's always better when we share it with those we love and with those who love us. And there's just a whole gang with Pat's family here today, and I want to introduce all of them, and I'm going to ask you to do one thing in the interest of time. Hold your applause till we get them all introduced. His wife, Patricia. Patricia is also a native Point Arturian and a Lamar graduate, class of '62. Daughters Heather and Wendy. Pat's parents, Hans and Jewel Weber. Sister, Laura, and her husband, Bernie Cook, a member of the staff here. Nephew, Mike, and Judy Barrett, Mike Cook. Pat's aunt and uncle, Walter and Nell Weber. Another aunt and uncle, Carl and Jean Weber. Another aunt and uncle, Bill and Mavis, I believe known as Pete Weber. And then Patricia's aunt and uncle, John and Billy Crawford. And Pat's niece, Janet, and her husband, Chris Stetler. Would you give them all a big hand, please? I'm sorry, did I go by you? I forgot Barbara and Harry, excuse me. I had a little story I wanted to tell on you, so I guess I got ahead of myself.
Well, see, I'm the youngest.
Oh, I see. Okay. Whatever you say, Barbara. Thank you, family. Our honoree graduated from Thomas Jefferson High School in Port Arthur, I believe it was about 1958, and from Lamar University with a bachelor degree in science in industrial engineering in June of 1962. He distinguished himself as a student leader and a scholar in his undergraduate days. He was a member of Alpha Pi Mu, an industrial engineering honor society, and was a member of the Blue Key National Honor Society for junior and senior students, which recognizes not only scholarship but leadership. Also a member of Alpha Tau Omega, a national social fraternity. Pat joined Texas Instruments, Inc. immediately upon his graduation in June of '62 and moved to the Dallas area. He began his career with this outstanding company, handling various project assignments, but his talents and leadership ability has taken him on, quote, a fast and smooth track with that top company. He received his first promotion as manager of the assembly and test equipment group in March of '65. He was then promoted, and listen, in 1970, 71, 75, 79, 80, and 81. He moved from group manager positions to systems manager to assistant vice president to president of the equipment group in 1982. Now, if that wasn't enough, during these early days, Pat managed to continue his education at that fine university, Southern Methodist, and earned his master's degree in engineering. In January of 1984, he was named Executive Vice President and Manager of Strategic Development. And in April of 1984, he was elected to the Board of Directors and named Executive Vice President and Manager of Corporate Development. His rise in that corporation took him from Dallas to Houston to Austin to the little suburb Louisville, back to Dallas. I hope I didn't leave out anything, Pat. You were pretty busy. Among his many current duties, he is responsible, listen, for Texas Instruments corporate development, consisting of corporate marketing, corporate research and development, strategic planning, licensing, economic analysis, and communications. I think he has a full portfolio. It appears that Pat has a large part in his company's goal to reach $10 billion in net sales by the end of this decade. I know he has a regular 14 to 15 hour workday plus weekends. As you well know, in the booming Metroplex market, Texas Instruments is Dallas' largest private employer and the world's largest semiconductor maker. They are also leaders in government electronics, data systems, consumer electronics, geophysical services, metallurgical materials, and electrical controls. Pat's career is something a fellow by the name of John W. Garner once said, quote, Some people may have greatness thrust upon them. Very few have excellence thrust upon them. They achieve it. They do not achieve it unwittingly, doing what comes naturally. And they don't stumble into it in the course of amusing themselves. All excellence involves discipline and tenacity of purpose. Pat's excellent professional career would cause his Alumni Association to name him a distinguished alumnus, but Pat has had time for other things as well. He and his family are dedicated and devoted members of the Spring Valley Methodist Church. He's an avid jogger. I don't know when he finds time, but he gets up about 5 every day to get in his 3 or 4 miles. I understand he likes to play golf, but doesn't find much time for that. Pat has always been a well-disciplined person. I think he got in the habit of getting up early when he threw a paper route as a schoolboy. And Pat, I found out that Barbara has a half interest in that paper route, and that you probably still owe her a little money, but I do know you took a spanking for her, and that's a private joke you'll have to ask the family about later. Pat just found out about that about 3 years ago, I think. Pat's kept a place in his heart for his alma mater, too. He's a life member of the Alumni Association. He's a plank owner. He's one of the original members, one of the original members of the annual fund, and he has not missed, he's not missed making a contribution since that inaugural 1980 year. Pat and his company have been supportive of Lamar's engineering programs through making departmental grants, gifts in kind, which have been substantial, involving our faculty and our students in seminars and workshops. They recruit graduates, and they're currently considering a substantial research grant. Last May, Jerry Baldwin, our Director of Development, and I went to Dallas to meet with Pat and his people. He graciously took time from a very busy day to set up a luncheon for us with their top people. And a lot of good things have come from that meeting, but the one I want to mention most is that they named their Texas Instruments champion, Mr. Michael Gilry, one of our graduates. The TI champions work with us in the solicitation of their employee group. Pat Weber is, in every sense of this honor, a distinguished alumnus of Lamar University. And Pat, I wish you'd join me up here at the microphone. Let me read this to you. The Lamar University Alumni Association, in recognition of professional attainment, participation in alumni affairs, and to alma mater, elects William P. Weber, Distinguished Alumnus, 1985. Congratulations, Pat.
Well, this is quite an honor. It really is. And I want you all to know, as you can tell by the large numbers of my family here, that we took advantage of this to have a family reunion. We don't ever want to waste a time to get together, particularly when there's good food involved. But we have very much enjoyed it, and it truly is an honor. And obviously, when you speak of family, you have to recognize that without the good foundation and backing of the family, that life's pretty difficult. And I'm very fortunate to have with a wonderful family, and that's particularly true of my wife, my daughters, and so forth. And it sure makes life a lot easier. Also, I think the professors, the administration, the leadership of all the great leaders at Lamar, Dr. Kimball and Dr. Franklin today, but all the prior leaders that have made Lamar a great university. We're very fortunate in our company to have many Lamar University graduates, and I can assure you that they have carried on the tradition very well within our company. It goes without saying, I think, that any institution, regardless of what type of institution, really exists only for the. That's true of Lamar, it's true of business, it's true of government, and so forth. The key question is how do you
makes them click, what makes them go, what makes them win. It gets back again to leadership. And as I was touring the great facilities that Lamar has this morning, you recognize that the investments that are made, and the laboratories, the nice buildings, all the equipment, and so forth, that helps to make Lamar unique, but that's maybe really not the differentiating factor, because any institution has nice facilities, and they have nice equipment, and so forth. The key difference is the people. The leadership of the university, the professors particularly, that mold are very formative years. And I'd like to at least highlight one of those that had a tremendous effect on me, and that's George Timms. Where's George? Here he is. George, would you please stand? Let me tell you what, he was the meanest, toughest that it had. But the good thing about it was, is he always respected him. Because he was mean with everybody. And he made you work, he made you strive, but I'll tell you the other thing, he made a significant difference in trying to explain the difference between intelligence and common sense. And that has been a tremendous lesson, George, and I thank you very much for that good lesson. So institutions do exist to serve the needs of society, and I think Lamar is doing a great job of that. Our challenge in the future, though, is going to be tough. Y'all probably have read in the newspaper the challenges the company faces. We come with 50 plants and 19 different countries, and we have over 80,000 employees, and we are on the leading edge of technology. We're the world's leading semiconductor company, and that's those little chips that make all these great things happen in electronics. But we are under some tremendous pressures on a worldwide basis from some very formidable competition. And again, it gets back to what's it going to take to win? What's going to make the difference? And again, it's going to get back to the leadership and the kind of people that we pour into our efforts. And that's not only true of our company, but it's true of Lamar, and again, it's true of the institution. Finally gets down to the ability of this country to compete and to lead, and so forth. So I would like to leave you with one thought. It really gets back to what I call the 3M theory. We're going to have great minds, we're going to have great motivation, and we're also going to have money. We're going to have to fund institutions such as Lamar to ensure that they've got the capital necessary to proceed in the future. But remember, this institution is what's going to allow the great minds to happen. And we're going to all have to work hard to provide the motivation. I want to read something to you that I ran across the other day, and maybe some of you, particularly in the coaching field, may have read earlier, but it really had an impact on me. And maybe you can recognize who the author is as I go through it. And I think it's very appropriate, particularly with the football game we've got coming up. And the title of this is called Winning. It says, winning is not a sometime thing, it's an all the time thing. You don't win once in a while. You don't do things right once in a while. You do them right all the time. Winning is a habit. Unfortunately, so is losing. There's no room for second place. There's only one place in my game, and that is first place. I have finished second twice in my time, and I don't want to ever finish second again. There's a second whole game, but it is a game of losers played by losers. It is and always has been an American zeal to be first in anything we do, and to win, and to win, and to win, and to win. Every time a football player goes out to ply his trade, he's got to play from the ground up, from the soles of his feet right up to his head. Every inch of him has to play with his head. Okay. You've got to be number one in any business. But more important, you've got to play with your heart, every fiber of your body. If you're lucky enough to find a guy with a lot of heart, he's never going to come off the field second. Running a football team is no different from running any other kind of organization. An army, a political party, a business, a church, and so forth. The principles are all the same. The object is to win and to beat the other guy. Now, maybe that sounds hard, but I don't think it is. It's a reality of life. most competitive games, draw the most competitive people. That's why we're there, to compete. They know the rules and the objectives when they get in the game, and the objective is to win fairly, squarely, decently, by the rules, but to win. And in truth, I've never known a man worth his salt who in the long run, deep down in his heart, didn't appreciate the grind and the discipline. There is some good man that really yearns for and needs discipline and the reality. I say these things because I believe the root nature of man, or that men must be brutalized to be combative. I believe in God, and I believe in human decency. But I firmly believe that any man's finest hour, his greatest fulfillment to all he holds dear, is that moment when he has worked his heart out in a good cause and lies exhausted on the battlefield victorious. And the against Lamar, coach of the Grand Rapids. I think that's very, very well. And I want Lamar to win, not only the game today, but as a great institution. I thank you very much for this award. It's a true honor.
Thank you, Pat. Again, congratulations. The Alumni Presidential Scholarship has become the most coveted and prestigious award offered at Lamar. Established in 1973 to commemorate Lamar's golden anniversary, more than 100 outstanding students have received this award. High school seniors with outstanding leadership ability, superior scholastic achievement, and special talents and abilities are selected for this annual award. The 1981 Board of Directors established the Endowed Presidential Scholarships. The founding members of the Endowed Scholarship Program were the Distinguished Alumnus Award and those foundations and individuals that had contributed a minimum of $10,000 toward the Presidential Scholarship Program. We now have a total of 23 Presidential Scholarships and 9 are fully endowed. We have 8 students receiving annual awards of $1,000 each, 3 receiving $500 annual awards, and 1 receiving $300 annually. Within the next year, we want to have the other 14 scholarships endowed to a minimum of $10,000 each. This past year, we have completed the endowment of 8 $10,000 Presidential Scholarships: the Gilbert T. Adams Presidential Scholarship, the George A. Dishman Presidential Scholarship, the Coopers and Libran Presidential Scholarship, the Mobile Foundation Presidential Scholarship, the E. Harvey Steinhagen Sr., E. Harvey Steinhagen Jr., and B.A. Mark Steinhagen Presidential Scholarship, and 2 Jeff and Bruce Greenberg Memorial Presidential Scholarships. It is with great pleasure that the Board of Directors of the Lamar Alumni Association named the Thomas H. Ordeon Presidential Scholarship and William P. Weber Presidential Scholarship. Would Pat and Tom, would you join me, please? I'd like to present a certificate to both Tom and Pat, and what it says: be it known that the Alumni Association of Lamar University has this day established the William P. Weber Presidential Scholarship and the Thomas H. Ordeon Presidential Scholarship to enable our alma mater to attract outstanding students for years to come. Whereas this alumnus is a recipient of the Distinguished Alumnus Award and is an example to future students of Lamar University graduates. In the finest tradition, this honor is bestowed, dated this 26th day of October, 1985, in the Gilbert T. Adams, President, Lamar Alumni Association, and Wanda Ferenza, Executive Director. Pat. We have a few more awards to make, and then we can get over the game. I see we're running, again, a little shy on time, but always remember there's no hill too tall to climb for a stepper. In 1980, the Board of Directors expanded the Distinguished Alumnus Awards program and approved several other awards that would recognize the outstanding work of its board members, volunteers, and those individuals who are not alumni exceptional service to the Alumni Association and the university. At this time, I would like to present some awards to special friends. The first award will be the Alumni Service Awards, and we'll get several of those out. The Outstanding Service Award is presented to a Lamar alumnus who has served the Alumni Association and/or Lamar University with exceptional ability and style, volunteer for a special project or as a committee person. The first award today is for Joyce Wilson. Joyce. Joyce, a while back, and at the time when the association needed her the most, came in and served as a receptionist, secretary, artist, accounting clerk, and whatever capacity staff needed. She updated names and addresses and designed the homecoming notices and hosted the 1982 homecoming with her husband, James. Joyce, we deeply appreciate the efforts that you have done on behalf of the Alumni Association. Thank you. The second recipient is Barbara Horn. Would you join me, Barbara? While she's coming forward, I'd like to talk about her a little bit. Barbara coordinated one of the finest reunions in the association. 1923 Golden Reunion for the Alumni Association celebration in honor of Lamar's 5th anniversary. Barbara has also given many hours of clerical support to the alumni staff during the past 2 years. She was available to help the staff move into the new facilities a year ago and even paint the closet. Decorative touch in our new home. Again, thank you. This recipient is someone I've been this year, particularly since she served as president and we're working as a team. It's Yvonne Ritter. Yvonne? Yvonne is an exceptional individual. In addition to her outstanding committee work, when she chaired the Committee for the Constitutional Change for the non-alumni members, we have also learned that Yvonne is an outstanding fundraiser. During the 1984 annual fund drive, she was responsible for the endowment of a $10,000 presidential scholarship, $200 in deferred gifts. Excuse me, 200,000.
Services yet unrendered, but I'll tell you, I certainly aspire to render those services.
Little story, Wanda and I got together back in September, I think it's September 26th with Wanda to kind of work on a program for this next year. And the thing that I'm always concerned about is what's going on in Beaumont, even though I don't live here. My roots are here, and I'm proud to be from Beaumont. And I said, you know, we need to do something that with, you know, economic growth like that. And Wanda says, you know, that needs to be our mission next year. And so what we're going to be doing from the Alumni Association next year is that we have as our one mission is to promote Lamar University as, I'll go back and think about it, to promote Lamar University. I wrote it. Yvonne, to promote Lamar University as a focal point in the triplex to stimulate economic growth, and we're going to put together some programs for that. And I guarantee with somebody like Wanda, she's going to make me achieve those objectives. The next recipient is Milt Wing. Would you join me, Milt? Milt did a superb job organizing the Brazoria County Lamar Big Red Association. He began with a core group of Dow Chemical employees, got them interested in starting a chapter, a stronger chapter. Milton served as its first president, and his leadership is still very visible in Brazoria County, and here on the university campus. Again, thank you, Mill, for your work. Now, we have another award that we established this year, and it's the first recipient from the Lamar Alumni Student Search Organization, which we refer to as LASSO. And LASSO is really a networking for alumni across the nation to identify those high school leaders who would like to bring to Lamar. And I believe we only have one of our recipients with us today, Carolyn Worsham. Has faithfully provided some of the students from Groves High School. We have contacted them, and many are now in volunteers in her area to contact through LASSO, and has made some contacts as well. Again, Carolyn, thank you. Last but not least of these service awards, called the Golden Cardinal Award. And to be considered for the Golden Cardinal Award, an individual must meet the following conditions: be a Lamar alumnus with 12 semester hours, must belong to the Lamar Alumni Association, and must be an outstanding alumnus, and must have demonstrated a record of superior service to the association and to the university. This very special award goes this year to Douglas Matthews, class of '74, and a most outstanding alumnus. Douglas, will you join? I'm proud to say that Doug is now the new city manager of the city of Galveston. And I think when a hurricane came through not long ago, I think we saw Doug on the TV in Houston. Doug coordinated the first Alumni Leadership Conference in the history of the association. He invited us on behalf of his city. He rolled out the red carpet and gave us a key to the city of Galveston. Part of our room costs were covered. A hospitality suite was provided. Of the cities were arranged and treated as at an executive dinner. The highlight was the presentation of a framed proclamation declaring Lamar University Weekend. Doug, on behalf of the Lamar Alumni Association, thank you for your efforts.
John, may I announce that Doug will be inducted into the Athletic Hall of Honor on November the 16th, and you're all invited to that.
Before concluding, I would like to make additional introductions. Sonia Franklin, the wife of our president of Lamar Beaumont campus. Sonia. There's a lot of firsts today, and I get to introduce the first president of Lamar Beaumont, Dr. Billy Franklin.
Thank you very much. I'm looking at my watch. I hate to miss the kickoff of a football game, so if I stop in the middle of a sentence, we're going to pause, knowing that the ball is in the air over there. It is really a delight to be every one of you here today. And Tom, Pat, you do bring honor to your alma mater. All of those others who are recipients of awards today, a word of thanks to each of you. I assure you that those of us who are here in various leadership capacities take very seriously the fine foundation, the past history, and we will attempt to build on it in years ahead. For a faculty member, the real product of their work are the graduates. And many times we don't get to see the true product for years to come. And it does our heart good on occasions like this to see how well our students have performed, not only in their professional lives, but in their social and their personal lives. You truly bring back fond memories for a lot of people here today, and you set some very high challenges for others of us as we try to lead this university into the future. Homecoming is a great time. I hope that as many of us can go across the highway, take place in the stadium. And I understand we have not won a homecoming ball game since 1980. And as Pat said a moment ago, it's a lot of fun to win. And I like to win. I'm not a very good loser. People who sit around ball games sometimes probably get embarrassed because I yell, I scream, and I sometimes shout some to the referees and the coaches. But I hope you'll help me today because we want 1985 to be a truly happy occasion, a continuation of a tone set in this luncheon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Franklin. I only have a couple of more announcements. One, for those who are not attending the game and would like to have more time to reminisce, I'd like to extend a special invitation for you to go to the Alumni House. It will be open, and there will be refreshments, old annuals, a piano, and good company waiting for you. Now, if you go to the game, it's exciting, and I got Lamar has had an exciting football team this year. You may want to stay to the end. Well, being in Southeast Texas, we have that same Texas hospitality. Alumni house will be open after the game.
Tell them where the house is.
Oh, the house is next to the easiest way for me to is next to the cafeteria. It's behind the library. I used to walk by that every day when I was on campus. Yeah. It's right directly behind this library. One other thing before I close the meeting, the families of the two distinguished alumnus recipients, we would like you to stay afterwards so we can have a family. Now, more announcements. I'd like to call this meeting as being adjourned. I'd like to have Charlene Leonard come up and lead us in our alma mater.
Would you join me in wishing Helen Kimball a happy birthday? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Helen. Happy birthday to you. Because homecoming is a time of reflection, let me share one quick thing with you. G. Rhodes Small was a friend of mine. His widow still is. Was the author of our alma mater. It is a unique song. It is one you should sing with pride. And with my apologies to Jimmy Simmons in the music department, listen to it quickly and then we'll sing it. Lamar, to thee we're singing, voices raised on high. We will forever love you, love thee to the sky.